One, two, three, four.
Ooh, ah, ooh, 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 ooh. Welcome back, everyone.
We got the champing, we got the champing, we got the chanting, we got the vibing. Apparently we're playing bongo drums on our intros now, but we're back. We're still here, still vibing. The Breakfast Brothers coming at you hot and heavy.
We're live. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But, anyways, welcome back, guys. Hope you guys had a great New Year's. Hope you guys had wonderful Christmases, or Kwanzas, or Hanukkahs, whatever you celebrated. And we're hoping that you started off your New Year's correctly. And now that could be anything, but
Or incorrect. Totally cool.
yeah. Yeah, you could do it completely wrong, but that's all right. We'll let it slide. But Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. Can you believe it, Zach? I can't.
No, it's just, man, I haven't seen these guys since last year.
I'm going to come over there and strangle you. I'm going to travel 7 hours just to strangle you for that joke.
It's all right. You know that it had to be done, regardless of it being the worst dad joke of 2025 and every New Year following. It had to be done. But no, he's
Yeah, I
right.
know. I made the joke too.
We welcome back the good vibes into the new year, and hoping that everyone had a good holiday season, whatever that looks like Ian said. I think the other ones I just recently learned about from my Islamic friends were Eid al-Fitr and the other one I can't remember, Eid al-something. But regardless, that one's celebrated a little later than the classic Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa vibe. So,
Oh, cool.
please bless up for the new year. Please bring in your good vibes and all of your resolutions. I don't really have any specific ones pertaining to anything fun. But hopefully you guys out there put something in the new year saying that you would do this or do that, or throwing some positivity somewhere that would come back to give you good karmic relief. So many blessings, many vibes. Breakfast with brothers, always breakfasting, always brothering. So please be weary that we'll be around and we'll be here to support you in your time of resolution needs. Cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
Wow, that's some cold water. Dramatic. Yeah, dramatic sipping effect. Well in play.
Thank you. All right, what are we talking about today, Zach?
Oh, I'm going to switch it up. Let me introduce the topic. Incredible.
Yeah.
No, I'll put the
Had to beat you
breakfast
to
on.
it.
New year, new me. What can I say? But no, seriously, we're going in, strolling into the podcast with haircuts, putting the people on to the vibes. Of course, for me, it's different than what a girl would get as a haircut. I think they call that a salon experience. No, but really, everything's a haircut, no matter if you're a woman or a man. So, hey, but you should tell us about where you're at with haircuts. I think we should join up on this topic of conversation with maybe of your classic haircut and why you get it, and then we'll jump from there.
I don't really, truthfully, my haircut has stayed the same for the longest time. I don't really know the name for it, but I kind of just get like a little fade on the sides and then leave a little on the top.
Little one of those.
Yeah, a little. But I've recently probably come to the conclusion that I might need to get a different type of haircut. You
Like
see, I
bald?
got these. What?
Like bald?
No, dude, I've already tried the shaved head. Does not look good on me. It's not a look for me. Maybe if I get like extremely muscular and like just keep my beard, I could probably pull it off. Like really grow my beard out. But I think that's for like 30-year-old Ian or something like that, you know.
You know, I hear chunky and bald is the new hot, so I mean,
Chunky and bald. Oh, you mean like the dad bod?
well, beyond dad bod, maybe more like Huh, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. Like meatball and bald. Yeah, that's better.
Well, I mean, I guess I got to change something up.
Hey, listen, it's either go fat and go bald or get fit and, well, I don't know, grow out Goldilocks length hair.
Nah, I can't do long hair. Plus, like, you didn't let me explain. I got these nice little like devil horns growing in,
Yeah, put us on.
and I say growing in as in like I'm growing hair there, but
Yeah, as in not growing it.
but yeah, it's I mean like 24. I guess baldness runs in the family or something. Um, I don't think I'm gonna get worse than this. Truthfully, I haven't balded in the back, and I don't think I plan on anytime soon, which is good. Um, it's a hassle for guys, male pattern baldness and shit like that, I guess. But hopefully it doesn't get past this point because I can deal with this. I don't wanna like have like a 17 head.
Yeah, like the LeBron James hairline. Yeah, that's pushing it. Plus, he
No, I
tried
mean,
this. He like other like short-haired homies have their stuff continually fading back with the line. As in they don't let the curve of their hair come up front. Like I obviously have a hat on, but when you're talking about like that devil horn coming back, like at least in our case, once that devil horn starts creeping, we have the ability to like let that hair jump in the front, and maybe if we have some future of Bosley or some future of that other hair growth serum, we have a chance of regaining those corners. But if you just keep pushing the full line back, it's just you may as well go bald. Either that,
yeah,
or, hear me out, just take off the whole top, and then keep your sides. Do that classic, do the classic old man wraparound.
just go bald. Like if mine creeps any more past this point, like I'm just gonna have to accept that I'm bald and just grow out my beard as like replacement. Just like I know probably to most people it's demasculating in the sense that you've lost your very nice hair because in most cases the guys who do go bald always said that they had like great hair growing up. They had like luscious manes and so on and so forth. So I'm sure to some it's extremely demasculating. In some sense it is to me too. But I just kind of go with it now. It is what it is. It's who I am. If I go bald, I go bald. I'll just rock the bald. If
Rocking
if
the
it comes to
balding
that
ain't the
point.
worst thing. No, I mean, not to cut you off, but I was gonna say you could stay bald on your head, but maintain a beard, and then at least you're rocking in some fashion. And eventually, bald
Right.
just looks the same as any other old haircut. In this case, it just so happens that your hair is being cut no longer exists on your head. You don't you don't have hairs to cut. They're all down to nothing. Just a pure old, plain old bald, oily head.
Yeah, and I mean like I know like if you still grow hair on the sides, like you know what, you don't even need to go see a barber. Like you don't have to pay for your haircuts anymore. Just do it yourself.
Exactly.
That's how easy it is. And then you never have to pay for a haircut again. Unless you're going
Well,
to
hey,
get your like
that's
scalp
the thing
massage
too.
or
Like
something.
you also have people who are just shaving their head with razors and keeping it. I'm not saying like the super bald, down to the skin, but I'm saying the people who are using like electric lasers to just to take off their length. Like me, like
Yeah.
length on my hair is now to the point where it's like past where I'm usually keeping my hair cut. But it also is one of those things. Like you either are a person who loves paying for haircuts and keeping it clean and trying to keep up an image, or you're just like, haircut's too expensive, whatever. I'll just do it myself. Or in this case, have a significant other do it because that's, if you have a significant other who's down for that, then it's just like, well, I'm not going to pay her, or at least in the sense where you don't have to. So
I'm not gonna pay her.
I
What would I pay her
paying
for?
up. You kidding me?
I ain't paying shit.
Listen, I already have a hard enough time asking Meg to like just make sure the rat tail on the back of my neck is shaved up because she's always, oh, I think I'm gonna mess up. Well, what if I accidentally shave into the back of your head? I'm like, well, don't do that. What do you want me to say? Like I can't see the back of my head.
What else can I ask for? Just keep the line straight. That's all I ask.
I get it's tough, especially if you're not a barber or what do they call the salon masters? Trying to think of man, what do they call them? Hairstylist?
Hairstylist?
Something else. No, but
Yeah,
they're. I guess they could also be cosmetologists, but I think that it's more than just hair cutting.
Well, wouldn't it just be
Regardless,
like a stylist or something like that?
that's what I was like, stylist. That's what I figured, but I don't know. There's like 8 names for them. It depends on what they do. I think there's accolades. You know, cosmetologist has all, and then you start dropping down the line of what you can do, and names change and stuff. But women's haircuts are completely different than what we exist as getting a man's haircut, and that's just maybe because we have less options to choose from. You know, they can completely change up a hairstyle from one day to the next, which is, you know, so crazy to think. Like for us, our hair only grows so fast, so we can only deal with it so much. Unless, of course, you're talking about some dude who has, you know, his hair down in the middle of his back, and he's deciding that he, you know, he wants to get a skin fade, and hit the top of his head is now, you know, just a minor comb over or something. Now that is a huge change, by far.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if our hair necessarily grows, like, you know, doesn't grow as fast as women's, but I'm sure there's probably some difference. I mean, they do. Maybe that's the truth. I don't know. I don't really know, actually. I feel like it was almost the same, if not theirs is a little bit faster, but men can still grow out their hair relatively quickly, depending on if you have good genes and such.
Especially if they let it go. Just do a quick Google search right now.
All right, tell us the information once you find it. Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, usually negligible and largely depends on individual genetics. But according to most research, men's hair generally grows slightly faster. That's why.
Whoa.
I would have to assume, and then this, you know, might be a very bad assumption, but from, you know, when like women are babies and they grow up from kids to, you know, pre-adults and then into adults, that they're not getting their hair cut as often, you know, because their parents and stuff want them to have long hair. And then, of course, when they come time to decide what kind of haircut they want, and, you know, they're not making silly requests like, oh, give me a bowl cut, or, oh, yeah, just, you know, shave it like half here, and then, like, clip this side, you know, to the point where, like, they can actually make a decision about how they want their hair to look that isn't completely crazy. And then they're just like, all right, yeah, well, I like my long hair, so I'm going to leave it. And at least that's what I've come to recognize with a lot of ladies, is that they'll have hair that's just, you know, some average length, somewhere, you know, down to the middle of their chest, or like down to like the base of their back or something like that. Hell, even shoulder length hair, you know, and it's just like they're not changing it up all too often. And when they do get the haircut, it's a lot of clipping of the, you know, the dead hair at the end, clipping dead ends. And they're not doing a lot of change up. They're not like going from super length to like Bob or Karen style haircuts or anything. You know, don't get me wrong, that stuff does happen. But I feel like a lot of the time it's just minor adjustments, keeping up with the hair that looks good, etc. For us, it's like, oh yeah, we got like 2.5 inches. It's time to shave it. It's just like, let me go down, you know, to at least, for me, like my haircut is like now, this is like usually the longest it is, you know, maybe it's a little longer than 2 inches, which for me is like drastically long. You know, it feels like I have hair down to my shoulders.
Right.
When I cut it, I'll get the skin fade and have it, you know, no more than an eighth of an inch, you know, a 16th of an inch off of my head around the sides, you know, and then the top of my hair, I'm keeping an inch long, if that. So, you know, for me, chopping off an inch at a time, an inch and a half at a time, like that's the normal. And for girls, I feel like it's half of that when they're just clipping the ends and stuff like that. So I guess based on what Google's saying, it might make sense. Maybe our hair does grow faster because we get it cut that much more often. Now, I have no idea. Again, here's an assumption, but no idea.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it. We get a haircut. If you're keeping up with your hair, maybe like once a month, maybe once every month and a half or so. How often do girls go to this, you know, the salon or the stylist? I don't know, actually. I guess it's all dependent. You know, some go more frequent than others. Others go around the same time as us. Some go a little bit longer. You know, they'll go like every 2 to 3 months. I think it's all dependent on the person and what they would like to do, both men and women.
Oh yeah.
Because some guys would say, "Oh yeah, I go to the barber like every 2 months, close to 3 months. I let my stuff grow out a little bit." For me, if I had the option and a good barber around me, I would probably go once a month. I like my hair relatively short. This right now is quite honestly, like, all of this is a little long for me. Once I see it starting to round my head up here, it's like, nah, I gotta cut that.
Yeah.
Because my hair kind of like goes woo.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it starts curling. Sometimes with me, since I wear hats so often, if it curls around like the brim of my hat, that's not that it's uncomfortable, but it's just like not only one dealing with it, combing it out, having to wash it more often because it gets oily pretty easily, but then also the amount of product I'm using. That's a big reason why like I keep my hair short too, is because not that I'm saying shampoo is insanely expensive, but having to pay for it all the time and then ripping through it is just also not exciting. For me, I pay probably like, I don't know, 10, 12 bucks a bottle of shampoo. And with my longer hair, I'm going through, for example, I don't know if this is accurate, like one bottle will get me through 2 months with my longer hair. While I have my short hair, one bottle can get me through, maybe 4.5. And of course, I'm probably pushing it because I am buying bigger bottles and stuff. But oftentimes I feel like the hassle of dealing with my long hair just isn't worth it in paying for the product, dealing with the time in the mornings if I'm going out somewhere without a hat, and then also just the uncomfortability of it, dealing with sweating, an awful thing with long hair, going anywhere and trying to look a certain way in a short amount of time, impossible. Got to give at least 10 minutes plus in front of the mirror, sometimes 20 minutes plus, really depends. Hair is one of those things where it's like not super cooperative all the time. And then otherwise, if I got short hair, I usually could, slap, if I ever have to use product, just a quick little sweep, be done. 2 minutes or less. And if it's long, it's like if I'm using product, it's like, all right, here's the comb. Now I got to break out the brush. All right, where's that cowlick? Oh my gosh, I fixed one side, but now it's on the other. Next thing you know, I'm through a shampoo bottle in 2 days, and it's just like, where did the time go? So, I don't know if you've experienced the same hardships, but they're real.
Yeah, I don't really use product in my hair. I try to just let it do its thing because the wind in my hair, I have such like soft hair. So like the wind just, no matter what I have in my hair, it just goes woo all the time.
Just like that. Woo, woo. Just one of those.
Yeah, because I've always had the little side sweep up front, where I kind of just push it back, and it just never works. Like I'd have to put like, what do they call that? Gorilla glue or something? Not Gorilla Glue.
That is one of them. Yeah. Not
Yeah.
Gorilla Glue. It's God. What the heck is it? It is Gorilla something. Wow. Why can't I think of it? But I know which one you're talking about. That's a super popular brand.
And like that stuff destroys your hair.
Gorilla Snot Gel.
Yeah, that stuff that will solidify your hair and it'll be like crisp up top. Not great for your hair unless you're losing an extremely tiny amount or something.
Well, the one that's really bad is Got to Be Glued. That one's really bad.
Oh yeah. And like, of course, when we were younger, we had a couple of those bottles, and
I use
like
both of them. Yeah.
Not great for your hair. Should not be doing that. If you use it, think twice about it. Yeah, no, I mean, just never use product. Never felt. I tried to. Like, I have product. Like, what is it? It's just like hair. What is it? Hair, not hair paste. It's like fiber or something like that. So like it holds a little bit better. So like if I want to like put my hair up and be all nice and stuff, like special occasions, the only time I'm doing it. Yeah. So like it relatively holds its shape, so I don't have to deal with wind blowing in my hair and all that. But for the most part, I usually just rock a hat if I go out. And like nice occasions, I'll just, I won't wear a hat, but I'll make sure I got a haircut and everything, keep everything trimmed down and nice. And I don't have to worry too much when it's shorter. But yeah, no, it's like shampoo wise, I definitely agree with you. Once my hair gets a little bit longer, I use just like a little bit extra, and it definitely adds up, but I don't notice it as like quickly. I think that's because I get my hair cut so frequently. I try to like keep on top of it. I probably get my hair cut every like month and a half now. Gonna have to figure out where I can go here that doesn't absolutely ruin my hair. Had that happen, they did not listen to me and then did much shorter than I anticipated. It's all right though. I mean, like maybe it was just bad communication on my part. Can't slam them for one bad haircut. Sometimes it just happens. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely the shampoo consumption. Hair's a weird thing, dude. Hair's a really weird thing.
Just another one of those things you got to keep manicured, unfortunately. Like I'm not huge on like I know some of my friends are big on like keeping legs shaved or keeping armpits shaved, chest hair, stuff like that. And I don't touch my armpits. Don't shave my legs or my arms. I have thought about shaving my chest, but just I don't. Like it hasn't gotten longer than what it was within like let's just say 5 year time span. So it's not something I'm thinking about where I gotta shave my chest hair, dude. It's getting gangly, you know, nothing to the point where it's out of hand or anything. But with my beard and with my hair, like I don't mind my beard so much as long as like my main spots, my cheeks are shaved up and like I can eat food under my mustache. And then with my hair, I used to be the same way where I would go and get it, you know, trimmed up every month in some fashion because I liked my hair short and I didn't like dealing with it. But then I found that as haircuts got more and more expensive, it was like, all right, drop in, you know, $30-$35 for this type of haircut every month. It's not the craziest expense, and one time a month isn't too bad. But then having to go back and do that, you know, it was just like, all right, this is actually adding up. You know, so then I kind of told myself, all right, during the warm parts of the year when I'm working outside, sweating, being active, you know, doing and playing sports and stuff like that, I was like, I'll keep my hair cut, you know, through the spring, summer, fall, that type of vibe. And then in the winter, I'll be a little more conservative. You know, I'll let the hair grow out. I'll even get to a point where if I don't feel like going and dropping that money, I'll just have Meg chop it up a little bit. Or the last time that I had my hair chopped, I just took it upon myself to just take my electric razor down with, I think it was a size 4 or 5, you know, just all over my head, sides, top, back of my head, everything. And I just did a clean buzz cut. And then of course I had Meg come through and do all the touch ups of what I couldn't see, like the back sides and the very back of my head, which again, I know I could do myself with mirrors and cameras and stuff like that. But it's nice when you have, you know, someone who can like double check because, you know, you could set up as many mirrors as you want, as many cameras as you want, try to do it yourself. But the next thing you know, you have half of an avatar arrow, you know, carved into the back of your head and you have a little check mark in the base of your neck or something like that. And it's like, how did that possibly happen? So having the haircut and going and paying for it is super nice because like you said, going and having it done by someone that isn't super familiar and seeing what they're all about isn't the best part, but establishing like that repertoire with a consistent barber is super nice and something that I thought we could like pace into here, because I know that's big time for a lot of guys who get haircuts and trying to stay consistent. And once they find the right barber, so to say, you know, that ends up becoming so commonplace.
Yeah, no, I mean, truthfully, I never really had like a barber that I like always went to. I know when I was in high school, I usually always went to Anthony's, and like he hooked me up most of the time. Like he was my barber for a bit, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Like I would go to him every now and again. I kept my hair a little bit longer than I do now.
Oh yeah.
And it was just, you know, like every now and again I'd pop in, you know, get a cut from him. But I wouldn't say, I mean, I guess I technically do, or I did. I always went to Terry. She always did my hair.
Yep.
You know, she's not necessarily a barber. She's a stylist, but you know, hairstylist. But I always went to Terry because one, we've known her basically our entire lives.
No doubt.
She cuts my hair well, and I like it, and I like how she cuts it. So, I always just kept going back, and I never minded paying her for a haircut. One, because she had, a good price for my hair, and then two, it's like it's always going to be a good conversation with Terry. I never really hate going to get my hair cut or have to wait long at all. I usually just text her, say, "Hey, can you fit me in this week?" or "Can you fit me in tomorrow?" And she's never said no. I think there was only one time, and that's because she was on vacation. So, always went to Terry. I wish she was closer. I wish I was closer, I should say. But it's just, I don't know. That would be, Terry would be my barber, my stylist.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was gonna say, I guess that makes sense for like stylists and cosmetologists and salonists, not only being adept at cutting women's hair, but also making the time to figure out how to cut men's hair too, because obviously they can swing both ways with how they're cutting hair, who they're styling, stuff like that. And honestly, cutting, like, if you're not like a guy who has like specific like fades and you need like tapers or straight edge cuts like along your beard and like through the the corner of your hair edges and around your ears and stuff, cutting hair isn't really all too bad. It's when you start asking for specifics where it's like, oh yeah, I need my barber to do this because I, one, couldn't do this at home, and two, wouldn't ask my significant other to do anything like that unless they themselves are a barber or stylist in some fashion. So I know for me, oh, my Wi-Fi. Can you hear me still? I paused. My buffering started.
That's all good. You're all cut up now.
Perfect. Where did you hear up until? Did you hear me talk about how I wouldn't trust my significant other unless they were a barber or a stylist to cut my hair?
Well, now I know that you said that, so yeah, continue on.
Yeah, no, I did say that. But seriously though, like if, for example, I was married or dating someone who was a barber or a stylist, I would 100% specifically ask for something that I want my haircut like. But if it was the other way where they're not in that type of profession, I wouldn't go and start making the list of things of how I normally cut my hair, if that makes sense. So with me, I remember the first time that I was trying to venture into like getting a serious haircut, and back when Anthony was the vibe, when Brad put us on, it was shortly after that, maybe within a year or two, that I was asking around and found out that Romar back home in Liberty was like the go-to guy for when you wanted the skin fade and having like the straight edge razor edge up, and then also getting tapers and fades and everything. And it was at that point that I went to go see what was good. Went in to ask for Romar. He was busy, so he's like, "Hey, I got my buddy I work with, Angel, here." And Angel and Romar were still working in that same barber shop together. And this was before they split ways and opened their own businesses and stuff. So he cut my hair, and it took longer than normal. I think for me, my first haircut when I wasn't asking for anything specific was like 20-30 minutes. But now this was like the first time I was like, yeah, my original haircut was a 1-2-3 fade on the side, like the 1-2-3 being the sizes of the electric razor, and then just taking a little bit off the top, because my hair's always been short, so I'd leave it about an inch and a half, just so I could comb it and use gel or whatever the hell I wanted to do. And he was like, oh yeah, no problem. Took, I think, like 45 minutes, and I was like, why did it take so long, dude? And at the time I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, this will be 20 minutes, I'll be in and out. Double that, sitting in the chair, and then get out, and I'm like, oh boy. But then it ended up costing roughly about the same, maybe like $5-7 more, whatever it was. And then eventually I was just like, well, I'm gonna try to keep up this trend because I like how my hair looks. And Angel and Romar were still working in that same spot for a while, so I kept going back to him. And eventually it came up that Angel got out of like the shop that him and Romar were working in together and went and opened his own place. And I was like, well, I like how he cuts my hair, so I'm just going to keep going to Angel, whatever. And of course, to this day, I still keep going to him when I am home. But have since being out of Sullivan County and everything, it's not one of those things where I can go there every month. But still, having him as my barber and knowing, how how he cuts, it comes out good, every time. Like, that's one of those things where I can go tell him how I need it cut, and he's done it, of course, to other people thousands of times now, I'm sure. But every time it's like, even if I went and asked for something different, where I was like, yeah, draw a little loop-de-loop in the side of my hair, and then maybe cut this huge gash through my beard so that way I look, pimping. I'm sure he'd be able to figure it out with ease and still, charge him the same everything I'm paying for, well, however long it's been now through high school. So 4, 8, almost 12, almost been 12 to 13 years now, roughly, since I started seeing angels. So it's like decade plus, man, and he's still killing it. Still in the cutting game, chopping up hair, doing his thing. So, but that's the wild story of keeping, I guess you could say, that repertoire with a classic barber. And of course, in your case, with I know Terry is more on the salon side of things, styling, but also knows how to cut a mean dude's haircut with ease.
Yeah, no. I mean, I had when I was up in Fredonia, I had someone like that. His name was Tommy.
Tommy.
And it was like I never asked for anything special, but he always remembered how to cut my hair. And like after like the first visit, like he was good. Like it was a little like it wasn't where I wanted it for like the first visit. But like when I came back the second time, it was like spot on. And like every time after that, it was just like, I could always rely on a good cut from Tommy. I went there this past September when I went up for a buddy's wedding up in Western New York. So I stopped in, got a fresh cut there. And no, it's just that guy knows how to cut my hair, and not like it's, I mean, to some it's probably not very difficult, but
right.
To me it's difficult because I can't see it. But no, I don't know. I haven't had too many barbers. If I was still around like Tommy or Terry, like I would, obviously my hair would be pimping right now, but never really thought of that as like, yeah, that's my go-to guy. Like I chat with that guy heavy when I'm like sitting in the chair or anything like that.
Right.
Haven't had a barber like that, But I do enjoy, Terry and Tommy whenever I get a haircut from them. Tommy I'll probably never ever get a haircut from ever in my life because he's all the way in Western New York. So unless I'm in the area doing something, there's no possible way I could. But for Terry, I mean, like anytime I come home, and recently I've been getting haircuts from her, so I missed my haircut window when I came back for Christmas. So
right, yep.
It's a shame.
Well, that's the thing.
Shame.
Like if you have, that's the thing when you try to corner yourself into certain barbers and stylists and stuff like that. When you're in and around someplace where it's like, yeah, you know what? Let me go finesse. Maybe I'll be able to catch them. And then it just so happens that you go to book an appointment and like their entire calendar is just booked out for 3 weeks. Or if you're closer to them and you have their number and you try to get in touch with them, oh yeah, I'm on vacation for so and so. That's possibly the worst because that's happened to me almost a dozen times now. I feel like probably 2 dozen. Just one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, if I try to book it 3 days in advance, I'll be good. Psych. Next thing you know, 8 days out, you have to book 14 weeks in advance. Have to put down a deposit. No, but it's never that serious. But it is one of those things when you have a popular barber. And I know up when I was in Alfred, I would actually wait until I would get home to get my haircuts. Because the one place in town, of course we're talking very tiny town for those listening, they had Chinese place, sub shop, barbershop, which it wasn't a barbershop, it was just a salon, but for us it was the equivalent of that. And then of course a little cafe. So nothing crazy, just basically one of everything, and whatever was in the area that was kind of like your pick. So if the Chinese food was bad, it was the best Chinese in the area, but it was still bad. And if the hot dogs at the cafe were bad, they were the best hot dogs in the area, still bad. So this salon barbershop experience was kind of the similar downtrend. I guess in this case the uptrend, of course. Oh, the best salonist in the area, when in reality compared to the other experiences anyone has ever had, it's like 4.5 stars out of 10. So it's just one of those small town things where you kind of have to piece together what you can get, and you of course get a feel for that on an island, being so remote from other mainland opportunities. Um, but where I was going with this was the fact that I wanted to talk about your like catching up, like in the chair, like having these super chats with your barbers and stuff like that, because from every stereotype in movies and shows and stuff like that, the barbershop or the salon is the classic gossip hotspot. And I haven't ever really had the opportunity to have it be a gossip hotspot. And maybe that's because I don't like to gossip a lot. Like I don't talk shit about people and whatnot. But also when I'm ever in the chair, and majority of the time I'm usually talking, catching up with everybody. But that's just it. I'm catching up. We're asking about each other, seeing how everyone's family's been, telling, this funky story of something crazy that happened to us, which in part could be gossip, but it's never an ill will about someone. It always is just some type of shared experience or mutual occurrence. Or again, the catch up where it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in so and so. Like, what have you been up to? That type of thing. And it's like, oh, well, I shot a turkey and then I actually ran over my dog on accident. Oh, buffering again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're all caught up. I heard you. It just sped through it really fast.
Whatever. Regardless, the barbershop gossip. So I know you said, you haven't been on that type of vibe with your, Terry and your boy Tommy or anything. But have you gotten that like surreal gossip experience? The movie like vibes from those situations sitting in the chair?
No, honestly, I haven't. Like Tommy, like we would just talk about like what's going on. I'd ask him the similar questions, like what's going on with him, what he's been doing. But it never really got like deep. We kind of just, I'm just making small talk, and it's not like it's awkward or anything. We're just chatting, just about what we're up to, mainly like what's going on, like what were you doing today, kind of thing. Like, oh, that's cool, sweet, yeah. What are you up to now? Like, what are you doing? Or we talk about like, I don't know, just random guy stuff, like in the sense of like, yeah, politics.
Politics.
Yeah, and like I know like a lot of things happening around Fredonia, like I keep up with when I was living there. So like at one point it was like they were installing the windmills and all that, which do nothing, by the way, for the people in the towns or surrounding areas.
Local politics, not the big name government vibes.
Yeah, sometimes big name government stuff. Tommy and I had very similar takes on politics, relatively, from what I could tell from what we chatted about.
Sure.
But yeah, town politics, like what was going on, like event-wise in town, or just, I don't know, plans for the rest of the day type deal. And Tommy's was always kind of like a long wait sometimes because everyone went to Tommy's. There was another place, I think it was Charlie's. I went to him, but he only knew how to do one haircut. Really nice guy though.
The bald cut, bald special.
No, actually he was missing a finger. It was really cool dude though. Like I could talk with him just the same way. Very nice guy. He only really knew one haircut. He gave Lewis and I waited in there one day because this was like first year we were there. We both needed a haircut.
Oh yeah.
So we both went out, found that place. I think we walked there, and then we both got our haircuts. I went first. Then Lewis went up, asked for his thing, gave him the same exact haircut as me, and then we walked out of there.
Classic. Well, real question though, was he always charging the same price, regardless of him? Obviously he knew the same haircut, but I'm sure there were some maybe mess ups at times or something like that, and it was just like, yeah, that's 25 flat. He was never just like,
nah, dude, he was a cheap haircut.
I'm gonna drop you $20.
We had to pay like $10, I think, for it. What?
Oh, I was nodding along. I was like, wow, that's really good.
Oh no, you just completely froze on me, and then you started blurting out something halfway through.
Oh, it's probably my lag in response. So sorry.
That's okay. Um, yeah, no, it was like $10 for a haircut, so like I couldn't complain too much. The guy was very nice. I had no issue. I liked my haircut for the most part, and then I went back another time, and that's when I got the chat with this old dude sitting next to me waiting in line, and he was a sweetheart. But that's when he messed up my hair, and I was like, it's nice, like it's nice chatting with you. Like I'm just good. I'm gonna try to find someone else. I'm not gonna like. He cut my hair. Like, what am I gonna do? Say glue it back on? No.
Definitely not. Yeah, I don't
So
think I've
I,
ever had or heard of an experience where you were getting like a free haircut if they messed up or anything. I also haven't heard of barbers giving a discount if you were dissatisfied or anything. I fortunately haven't been in that scenario to the point where I was so dissatisfied with my haircut that I was demanding the buffer. I'm
dude,
back.
it's bad tonight for you.
It's probably because the television's on out in the other room. Although I am far from the Wi-Fi, so this happens more often than not. Regardless, was talking about the experiences that I haven't had of the dissatisfaction of a haircut to the point where the barber was either refunding me, or I guess not refunding, but telling me I didn't have to pay, or giving me a discount, giving me a discount because of a bad haircut. Thankfully, I
Right.
haven't had that happen, but I also haven't ever heard of that happening to people. I don't know people that would get like ridiculously upset about a haircut. And I know us as guys, we're not paying ever really more than $40 for a haircut, and that's steep because that would include a straight razor, shave at times with also all the extras of even using like hot towel and doing some hair cleaning, shampooing and stuff like that. Uh, and of course, like for me, I don't know if you've done the same, but depending on how good the haircut is and if I like how it came out, and if they can get me out of there decently quick for all that I asked for, I usually throw like $5 tip down if it came out to not only my expectations but exceeding them. So I don't know if you've been there, done that, but I have tipped
Yeah.
barbers before, even on top of their wages.
No, I
Hell,
always I
sometimes
always
10
tip.
bucks.
As I say, I always tip whenever I go to a barber shop. One to be, I don't know, just respectful for the time they gave, and they did a good. If they did a really good job, then of course I want to give them a tip. And most of the time, they always do a good job, so I never really feel the need not to tip. Um,
Right.
so it's like, I got that bad haircut, but it's like I'm still gonna pay them. It's not like I'm gonna like flip out about it. Um, the deed is done. I'll just try to like fix whatever I can at home, um, like on something I might not have liked. But for the most part, it's like no, I'll still tip in the sense of like if everything went good, I like the haircut, everything's fine. I'll still give like a $5 tip every time. If I really liked it and like you completely changed my look, then that's a different story. Then I might give like $10 because it's like, wow, like I'm gonna keep coming back because like you did a great job.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I always throw a $5 tip just because it's their livelihood. They cut hair. They make me look nice. I'm gonna give them and treat them right with at least a $5 tip. Never felt the need not to tip, especially at a especially at a barber shop. I don't know. It's just like I like to tip, especially when um I like what's, coming out of it kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And I feel like it kind of shows you that you can put a little trust in your barber if you're throwing some tip, where it's just like, hey, you did a good job, so hopefully if I come back again, this can be a normal thing. Um, because I feel like there's not often times I'm tipping outside of the normal realms of tipping. If I'm sitting at a restaurant being waited on, um, I know it doesn't happen all that often, but when I used to work valet, obviously that's something. Again, you in this case are being waited on. Someone's getting your car for you. Um, the other ones that I'm usually never tipping at is when I'm in like a fast food restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that where, and someone made a great point about this, if you're going in somewhere and standing the entire time you're taking your order, grabbing your food and getting out, that is like one place where you usually avoid tipping, because that's not a place where like the workers are working at like a waiter's wage. They're making like a normal wage, and tips are kind of just like the extra add-on. It's almost like the cherry on top. When in the case of being waited on or valet, or I can't even think of other like scenarios in my head like where you tip besides that. But in those cases, they're making those reduced wages, and then whatever tip they have is then being brought up to make the minimum. And then if they miss that minimum wage per hour, they get paid out the difference. So of course, I'm going to tip for those people who are making the wavered wages in this case. I wish I could think of the other scenarios where people are getting tipped on a normal basis. Can't think of it on the top of my head, but maybe you could help funnel the idea here that I'm forming.
I don't really know any other jobs that like you would get tipped for in the sense. I mean, you can really get tips from any job, truthfully, unless like I know with valet when I was working on some of those other jobs, it's like the tips were covered. Like we weren't allowed to take tips for certain events that we were doing.
Yeah, that too.
But for the most part, yeah, like I'm gonna tip people who are working for their tips, and like you said, it's like it's pretty noticeable when you're giving a tip to someone that is actually working for it, whereas like it's visually shown like, yeah, okay, like they're working for tips tonight, in the sense of like being a waiter, valet, so on and so forth. But like this example you gave, this the coffee shop where it's like I'm waiting in line, they're working behind the counter for whatever wage. It's like, okay, if they got through that line quick and I didn't wait too long, sure, I'll toss in like $1 or $2 to a little tip jar or something. Like if it was a long ass line, I was all the way in the back and I only waited 5 minutes to like get up to the front order and get my drink. Like I'd say that's pretty damn good. And like, if I felt like it, I'd probably drop $1 or $2 in. But I also know a lot of the time those tips are like distributed amongst everyone. So could be good, could be bad. I don't know. I guess it's just dependent on how I feel for the day. But definitely like, if I'm out at a restaurant, I'm going to tip generously if they did a good job. We're attentive.
Yeah, absolutely. And bartender. That's what it was. Another big time.
Bartender, yes. Yeah,
But
I would say bartenders
that
only
full
really.
circle classic was me trying to come back to and make sense of why I'm tipping my barber, I guess.
Yeah. No, yeah, let's get back to the point here.
But no, barbers, if they do a good job, they definitely deserve a tip, because in the case that they're basically charging for that rate, like for me, I think it's like beard and haircut, the special haircut they call it or whatever. It's $30. Sometimes it's 35, depending on where you go. And if it's 35, I'll throw another 5, make it 40. If it's really good, I'll throw 10. And then I'm also thinking of the specific case where it's not often that I'm not tipping the barber, but there has been scenarios where I'm not super in love with the haircut. So it's just like, I'll pay the wage. Because realistically, if I get, for example, a haircut done in an hour, like 60 minutes of time, they're charging me $30 for a haircut. $30 an hour is really good. And if they're getting a haircut, say they have 8 appointments that day, 8 hours go by, that's $240 that day for them. Of course, they have to get taxed at the end of the year. They're an independent contractor, blah, blah, blah. Like that sucks. But also, if you can fill in those days and you're a good barber, you're cutting more than 8 people a day, probably because you're doing it faster than every hour. And I know some barbers that pull in some really good money because they can cut decently quick. It doesn't have to take a full hour. And then they also, of course, charge more than $30 for a haircut. And then on top of that, they're making tips. So if you're a good barber and you know what you're doing and you got people coming to you, keep it up. because not only are you gonna, get tips from the likes of us who, are looking for haircuts on a monthly basis, sometimes even sooner. I've known people that go every 2 weeks, which is insanity in my head, but to each their own. Uh, it's one of those
I
things
get
where,
it though.
no, of course, I feel like thinking about people who do it often are like people who are like rich basketball players, baseball players, people who oftentimes are always trying to look the freshest possible in that moment. They're getting their hair cut like every 4 days type thing. Where it's like, yeah, if I had money, I'd get my hair cut twice a week too, dude. Like, are you kidding me? Absolutely. My beard would be lined up every day of my life. And not that I'm getting a haircut every day, but it would look like that. I would be the freshest mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be a scenario where if I had the money and I was going to spend it on things, one of the things of that I always like to do, especially when I'm going out in public, majority of the time, is like look presentable for the most part. Like, don't get me wrong, I like wearing sweatpants and comfortable clothes out. And oftentimes, if I'm going to work, I'm just wearing my work clothes, and if after work I got to do stuff, it's whatever. But when I'm going to places like restaurants or sitting down or going to other places where like that classic dress code is like polo with like a decent pair of shorts, like I'm not going in there with holes in my pants. Like I'm not going in there with sagging pants. I'm not going in there with like a tattered t-shirt or anything. And so I feel like on top of all of that, my haircut and how my beard's presented matters alongside that outfit. So, hell, if I was rich and I was making money, you bet your ass I was getting my haircut every 3.5 days. Like, that's, of course, nuts to think. But when you got money to, of course, they call it when you got fuck around money, you spend it on whatever you want, whenever you please, because it's your money and you do what you want with it.
No doubt, dude. I mean, hell, if I can get a haircut twice a week, I can't even imagine twice a week, dude.
Yeah,
That's just
you
like
wouldn't even
that's
probably need it. You're just literally clipping little tiny baby hairs. You know what I'm saying?
that's what I mean. Like I can see like every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like you might not have that much hair, but at least there's something to cut. And it's like if
Yes.
you're just like you're doing a nice little shape up, like getting your cut back and keeping that consistent like growth, like at the level that you want it, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2 weeks, definitely a good amount of time to grow a little bit of hair, cut it back, clean it up. You're back to looking fresh. Like 2 weeks, you're going to be looking fresh for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Like I'd say maybe like week and a half, you start looking a little like there's stuff starting to grow a little bit back. Boom,
Right.
gone because the next week you're getting another haircut. It's
Exactly.
2 weeks. 2 weeks I could see. I would probably push it to like 3 weeks if I could afford it. Not that I can't afford it, um, but in the sense of like, man, every 2 weeks, like getting a haircut twice a month. It's just like now I gotta like plan this out. It's like, all right, I need to like set in like my appointment on this day because I'm busy this and this day. I say we got to plan it for this time today. And it's like I'm not going to be taking off work to go get my hair cut. If there's a place open past or up until like 7 o'clock, golden. Like I'm going to get
Sure.
my hair cut at 6 o'clock p.m. because I get off of work. I get off of work late. So,
I was
but
gonna
point
say
is,
the
like
perspective is
two
that
weeks
now
is
you don't
crazy.
even have to take off of work though, dude. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the idea is that if you're getting your haircut every 2 weeks, you're at the level where you now have a private client barber who's coming to you. Dude, wherever you
Yeah,
are, he's coming to
probably,
you.
yeah. No, the
Think
guy
about that.
that's getting his hair cut twice, guy that gets getting his hair cut twice a week, dude, is the one that has the private one.
Yeah.
Those fakers are the ones that get it twice, every 2 weeks. Those are the fakers, dude. They go to some guy down on the corner. The guy getting it twice a week has the private barber. Don't get those two mixed up there.
I was gonna say at that point, if you're the same person who's getting their haircut twice a week, or even if it's just once a week, you probably are also the person who has a dietitian, a nutrition coach, a private chef, all of that, all of that. The buffer.
We're
Did you hear
back.
my rant?
Yeah, I heard your rant. It all loaded in. It's really bad tonight, dude. But yeah, no, it's just I don't know, man. I guess I wish I could have my hair cut that nicely. Every two weeks or every twice every week. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't care about my hair that much. I mean, for half pretty much the entire day, my hair is covered. Like I'm either wearing my work hat or my helmet. So it's like, the hell do I care?
You don't, dude. And that's why I love hats too, because again, working another job where I'm wearing a hat during the day to protect my head from the sun and the clear majority of my face and stuff. So it's commonplace for me not to worry too much about it. And for me, like, that's why I get the sides trimmed the way they trim, because when they're short around my head, I'm not dealing with the hat, the curled hairs around my hat, and I'm not dealing with all the excess sweaty, oily, gross hair. It's like big thumbs. Because then whatever goes on under the hat, who cares? Nobody can see under my hat unless I take it off. And most of the people that I meet, that I've only known for a couple of years now, they're like, it'll be months down the road. I think there was one time it even took a year for that person that I, newly met, for them to see me without a hat on. And hearing people say that out loud, it's just like, oh my God, you have like hair under your hat. I'm like, oh, you haven't seen me without a hat. That's funny. And I chuckle to myself because I know I wear them so frequently where it's kind of commonplace to see me places in public, out at a buddy's house working with a hat on. And when it's off, it's to go to bed. Usually during the day when I'm here at home, it's like I don't wear a hat around the house. I don't need to. Like I've got no one to cover up for. There's no messy hair on top of my head that I'm trying to hide. And also I'm not, of course, in the winter, really worried about getting beaten up by the sun and stuff like that. So it's like the only hat I am putting on is the beanie because it's cold as hell out here in New York. So realistically, it's like if you know me and you've seen me without my hat, congratulations. You've met a rare part of me. But if you know me and you haven't seen me without a hat on, you'll probably catch me on a day. And I'll be lacking. That's okay. I'll admit it. The buffer.
All right, we're back now. I heard a little bit of it.
The buffer. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, I heard the buffer. But yeah, no, I mean, I heard a little bit of your rant there. It's like I'm at a point now too where it's like I only ever really wear a hat out. And it's like, sure, I'll have my hair out. Like on nice occasions, I'm not gonna wear a hat. Like, I know for the Christmas party we had here, I didn't wear a hat. But it's kind of like once I find a hat that I really like to wear, that's the only hat that I'll be wearing until the next time I find a hat I really like to wear. So it's like you can see the one that I wore all the time. It's this John Deere one. It's like a all mesh cap. Loved it. Classic. I love that. That's a nice summer hat. Because it's literally all of it is mesh. So it's super breathable.
Breathe easy.
And it still lets the sun sun bleach my hair, because like every summer it goes like super dirty blonde, almost close to like blonde. And especially like if I wear that hat, it'll still do the same thing. It won't cover it up. So that's really nice. I like that hat for the summer. And then I actually have my new rotation is my Cheryl Tree hat.
Classic.
This thing, I love this hat. It fits my head so well. I got a big noggin, all right. And like when my hair grows in, like I can feel it like kind of pushing my hat. And it gets annoying. And then I get those stupid indents because my hair is like just.
Yep, the indents. That's another something to live with when you're a hat owner. The indents.
Yep. Terrible. But I think that's all the time we have for today, folks. And I'd love to just keep chatting about hair, but we just did a full hour talking about hair and haircuts. But thank you guys so much
for our barbers. Thank you, everyone who's cut my hair every year since then. Shout out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you to all who have cut my greasy, poor hair.
Luscious locks.
No, but for real. So on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. As per usual, if you're listening on YouTube, check us out over on Spotify. And if you're listening on Spotify, check us out over on YouTube. And Zach and I have been off for a bit of time here. I was on vacation for about 2 weeks or so. And I'm assuming Zach was in a similar boat, but took a little less time than I did. But we're back and we're better than ever. So we'll be continuing work on our project to get everything over to Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. Apologies. Apple Podcasts and I think iHeartRadio as well. So we are in the works and we'll keep you guys updated on everything that we're working on. And when we have it fully uploaded and everything set up, you guys will be the first to know. So thank you guys again, and we'll catch you all on the flippy flop. Peace out.